Welcome to the first FRS, First Response Solutions podcast. We have developed a consultant firm that is developing the best consultants for expertise in any first responders' needs across the country. What we have produced is a company full of individuals that are experts in every field that comes to making sure that your fire department, police department, or EMS service can provide the best service level for your community. And through this, what we've decided to do was a podcast that we're going to do once a month so everybody can stay up to date on the hot topics that the podcast can produce that are across the nation. Not only here in our hometown, but on all four corners of this country. And what we've decided to do was build a podcast that talks about those topics. This first one, instead of the owners of the company doing the podcast, we want you to see who we are. So we've asked a guest interviewer to come in and interview us in this first podcast. Therefore, you will be able to see exactly who we are, what our backgrounds are, and what we're able to produce for your service. And so, without further ado, we have Brooke here. She's the one that's going to be able to start us off in the interview of what this podcast is about and what First Response Solutions can do for you. So go ahead, Brooke.
Thank you, Stephen. Guys, I'm excited. Thank you for allowing me to be just a small part of today. I'm very excited about the company. Married into a firefighter and his walk through his career. It's very exciting to see just the opportunity that you guys are going to provide, kind of like what Stephen said, within your community and beyond. A lot of what you just said, Stephen, as far as the expertise, you mentioned a lot of times about the experts that you've pretty much assembled here today. So tell me a little bit about your expertise, Kevin. I'm going to go to you first. And your experience in your field with the police department.
Cops always get to go first, huh?
That's right. That's right. We finished the highest on the test. All the time. That's right. That's right. Yeah, so Kevin Bryant here, and I spent a little over 11 years on the police department, and this really hits home for me because as we see across this nation how hard it has been for police departments to retain police officers. It's a tough world to police in these days. So I am committed to this company wholeheartedly to get out there and try to find good quality candidates and help departments of all sizes. It could be a 5-10-man department up to something like Memphis PD, where I spent 11 years at, and even bigger. Looking forward to doing that. Spent 11 years as a police officer. I did a little bit of time in the squad car, which was nice. That's where you kind of get your feet wet. You start out there, and then as you prove yourself, you sometimes get lucky and get shuffled around. And that's where I was able to really excel. I was able to do some undercover work, which was really nice. I was able to do some investigative work with robbery and homicide, burglary detectives, things of that nature, some plainclothes work, gang work. As we know here in Memphis, the gangs are prevalent, so being able to do that was really good. Kind of came across an unfortunate situation back in 2001. We can talk about that a little bit later on. But that was what kind of changed, and it was a pivotal time in my life. Going through a very tragic event that changed my life forever. So we'll get into that a little bit more later on. But that's kind of who I am, and I'm in the private sector now. I work for Cigna on the Global Security and Aviation team, and so I'm looking to tie in my expertise as a police officer, as a firearms instructor, as a training academy instructor, my corporate experience into FRS, and pour everything and every bit of knowledge that I have to make this company grow and make any department we have the best in the country.
I love that, Kevin. And I'm very intrigued to hear what happened in that event in your life. So We'll come back to
Yeah,
that
more to
for
come.
sure.
More to come for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
So to you, Jensen, tell us a little bit about you and your experience and your expertise. Probably a little bit different than Kevin, just
A little bit.
from knowing you a little bit more
A
personally.
lot more sleeping than he got.
I would say so. Tell us about your role and your experience with the fire department in your community.
Went the corporate route first, and Dad wanted me to be in the business world, and I was not a desk guy, so I went into talked to Steve, and Steve was on the fire department, told me about this great career, and my uncle was on the fire department from Memphis Fire Department, grew up around it, and basically said, you know what, I'm a hands-on guy. I need to be doing something, not being in an office. Went and volunteered for Arlington Fire Department. I don't know if you were on at the time.
I was, yeah, I was, absolutely.
Got my feet wet there, worked for free for a while, got some certifications or whatever, and then finally got on with Bartlett Fire Department as a full-time firefighter. Did that for almost 18 years or 17 years. And then I got injured in a fire. Well, I got injured a bunch, but this particular time, I got injured in a house fire and had a couple surgeries. Doctors gave me the option to medically retire, and we weighed the options, and we thought that was the best thing for me. And I still love the fire service. I love everything about it. I love the guys. I don't miss the sleepless nights, but I miss the camaraderie.
The camaraderie, yeah.
This brings me back to that. This is what I like about this is the camaraderie with guys, being able to still be in the fire service, the fire department, still being involved with it. It's just, you know, once you're a fireman, you're always a fireman, and it's kind of one of those that you're still getting to be a part of it with not actually having to go in and make calls. So yeah, I'm a retiree, I guess you can call me. I like to call myself a sugar daddy now.
Jensen, let me say, you said something about earlier about working for free. Where was that at again?
In Arlington Fire Department. So I was a volunteer.
Suburb of Memphis, Tennessee?
Yep. So
Okay, so you
volunteered.
started there to get your feet wet and then
Usually
moved up
you
from
have
there.
you have to get your feet wet somewhere before you can get on. At the time,
the
time, yeah, that's how you had to do it. Nowadays, like this is what
we're
we're
going to talk
here.
about, right?
You know, you had to put the work in. You had to hump for a while to for people to know you, to get your name out there, for people to see you, to see if they like you, and then, you know, it could be 2-3 years. I had buddies of mine that it took them 5 years to get on. Now, not so much, you know, and that's why we're here. You know, it's
that hard now to get on the job.
to get back in that mentality of let's change the mindset of how we get on these departments, police department, fire department, MLGW, whatever else it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys are in the service realm. You're very service oriented as men. And I think just being a retired police officer, a retired firefighter, not all of you here are retired, but tell me a little bit more about you, Tyler, and your service heart and your expertise on the business side of what you can bring to first response.
Sure, yeah. Well, I've been a firefighter myself for 20 years, believe it or not. You wouldn't believe it. I was getting ready for retirement. Yeah, no.
I was like, no way. You did not tell me that before this.
I'm trying to make myself sound interesting. You guys are good. No, I'm the
brains of the group.
I'm the boring guy is all I am. So I've been in human resources and project management for the last 10 years, the majority of that time in the public sector, because I do have a strong passion for community service. You know, who's going to make our community better if not us? So that in itself is a root, I guess, foundational understanding of the four of us and the reason that we're here. We want to expand that reach and make communities better all across the nation. So talent acquisition is my specialty, along with project management, and just happy to be on this group of guys that are, you know, looking to make community better, looking to improve fire departments and police departments all across the country, and figure out how we can win this talent war. Talent's really hard right now. So I'm happy to be here and help in that space.
I love that. Thank you. And you said something very specific about taking it nationwide, you know, making sure that the acquisition and finding the talent in not just in your little hub of your community. Stephen, you specifically travel a lot. You go all over the world, I would say the nation, as far as local wise and beyond, trying to find in your specific role today. Tell me a little bit about how that role that you're in today and how that helped you kind of generate the relationships that you have with these guys to bring your expertise and your knowledge and your just all of the education that you've gotten through the Memphis Fire Department to first response.
How long is this podcast going to be?
We got a ways
He's got a lot of
we got a
knowledge
ways to go.
in that brain.
So, you know, just a little bit of my background is that I got in the fire service in 2000, and I'm a third generation firefighter. My grandfather got on the job in 47. My father got on the job in 72. And I was going to do everything else in this world other than be a firefighter or in the military. I ended up in Fort Knox, and then I ended up in the fire service. And my career in the fire service has kind of led me in different paths. I've worked for a couple of different fire departments, and then Memphis, and then I even left and came back. And through that experience, I was able to bring back to Memphis programs that I looked at out on the West Coast. I came back to Memphis. It was a better decision for me and my family to come back to Memphis. And so when we came back to Memphis, the command staff at that time wanted to know my story. What made me leave? What made me come back? And so when I explained it to them, they allowed me the opportunity to develop a couple of different programs for the Memphis Fire Department. And for the audience out there, the Memphis Fire Department is the 8th largest fire department in the country. And so when you look at a mega fire department, it is very rare that you see a command staff willing to listen to someone of lower rank to bring in their expertise of their experiences, right? And so what I was able to do was take my experience and then build a program starting in 2017 of how to help recruit and retain individuals. And through that recruitment, up to this day, I've been a part of hiring over 600 firefighters, EMS licensed, and a lot of them already fire certified with IFSAC or Pro Board, nationally certified EMTs, advanced EMTs, or paramedics to the city of Memphis, over 600 over that period of time. And then people started looking at, like, how are you doing it? And, you know, to me, it was a very common sense approach. So when we developed the program originally, it came off of experience. And Brooke, I'm going to tell you that part of the problem is that fire departments around the country, including Memphis at the time, were worried about butts and seats, right? How many people can we put in a seat to fill a void? And they weren't looking at the aspect of putting the right person in the seat. And what you're looking for when you hire an individual is, can they get to the 25-year goal? And that's not what fire departments or police departments or utility companies, they're not looking at that. They're looking at, how can we fill the void now? They're not looking at the future. So when I started uncovering what was going on in Memphis and the program that I developed that has become so successful, I realized that there's a lot more to it than just putting butts in seats. It's about putting people in a situation that they have an opportunity to get to a 25-year goal, to have upper mobility inside of that department, and then reach retirement goals. And then how does that help the service level of the community in which they're working for? So I've traveled the country periodically to help recruit and talking to other departments and other chiefs at different places. And what I've realized is the actual problem is that we're not looking at changing lives. What they're looking for is to fill a void. if you take the approach of how to approach a problem and solve the problem for the individual that's coming into a department, regardless of what service it is, that individual has goals for themselves. It's not just the department goals, it's the goals of the individual. And so when you start getting on that level, you start finding yourself being successful. And so, we found niches in different areas of the country that had a surplus of either paramedics or EMTs or firefighters looking for jobs or wanting to come to one department to another department. And really, it's sitting down and being honest. And each city that I've talked to, are they willing to change their mindset of the traditions in which they put in place to hire? And so when we built this company, we sat down collectively. And now Jensen and I started back when I came off company to start the programs. I sat down with Jensen, who works not with me directly on a fire department, but I listened to what their needs were. And we had a lot of ideas. I started working with Tyler on the aspect of recruiting, and then happened to get through HR policies in order to hire people. So we were able to develop different programs that were completely different than any other city in the country. And what the program that we can provide is to teach different cities how to do that. With KB here with Kevin, was that he brought an aspect of the police side of things that is a great need that I never really looked into, and I don't know anything about police work, but with Kevin's experience and everything that he has gone through on his job and his way of life is going to be able to add to this. So what I decided to do was talk to this group of people about building a company that can provide the resources of not just recruitment and retention for your fire department, police department, utility services, or whatever, but it's a different viewpoint that maybe your HR department is not looking at, maybe your chiefs aren't looking at, because I see it in a different realm. I've traveled the country and spoke to these people.
And Stephen, not to cut you off there,
Yep.
but like you say, talking to different chiefs and whatnot, it's not that they're doing something wrong. They're probably doing a lot of things right. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, hey, let's look at it a little bit differently and potentially just change some things up a little bit to get the right person.
Just looking through a different lens.
Right. Instead of trying to get butts in seats, like you're saying, it's about that sustainability, retention level, keeping it high.
Well, tell me too, Kevin, not to take the words out of Jensen's mouth, but, again, tell me specifically what is the four of you, and decide, I don't care who tells me, but tell me the idea, the backing, the drive, the encouragement that you all came together to decide what sets the First Response Solutions apart when you say to me that you are trying to find a career firefighter, a career utility person, a career police officer. That's hard to find these days. Most of this generation and older, like the boomers, not to be unpolitically correct, but that generation are career. Yep. Very, very often, our generation is, I'm going to try this for a few years and then I'm out. So tell me the desire, the drive, again, the encouragement of what sets you guys apart from any other consulting firm where another chief or another director or CEO can say, I want these guys. I want these guys to come in and change my department.
I'm going to make an executive decision here. I'm going to let Stephen.
He's the right guy.
All right, so
What were you going to say?
Well, it's what I just said. It's changing. Yeah. This is what we've always done, and that's the problem with the fire service and police services. Yeah. We've always done it this way. Well, things change, times change, people change,
technology changes.
Technology. So now we have to focus on it in a different lens and let these older gentlemen who are now the chiefs say, well, the old way isn't working anymore. Now let's figure out a different way.
The old way is you worked for free. You had to volunteer.
Yeah, no, good call.
You got your foot in the door by volunteering at that department. That's not the case anymore. We're begging people.
It took me years.
Yes.
It took me years to get on the fire department, and now I'm in a role of hiring people, and that is no longer what it is, right? We're having to beg, borrow, and steal and look under every bush and shake every tree in order for us to find someone that wants to come into the service. And so we have been successful because of the ideas that have come from this couch and that chair over there on dealing with the realism of what's out there now. Yeah. And we have to break the mold of the traditional way that it always is. One of the things that Tyler and I were able to work on with the city of Memphis in order for us to be successful was, how do we make a hiring process where we get them in through the door? First we throw the line out there, we put the bait out there, they are interested, and then how we get them in. And we were able to design a program in order for people to come in through the door. Instead of it taking a year or multiple years that took all of us to get on,
that was the hardest,
to work for public service, we were able to design something that brings people through the door. And that's the reason why we've been able to hire 600 plus people since 2017 to not only come into the fire service, but it's also, how can we provide a service level that the community demands? And you have to be able to sit down and have a candid conversation with political leaders, fire chiefs that are in charge of that are always stuck in their way. And Tyler, you and I sat down several years ago and talked about it with Blue Path and with building a cadet program inside the city of Memphis. And by giving him my expertise of what I see out in the field and what the need is at the response level, helped him in a management level to be able to bring that in. So when we decided that this collective group get together, we're able to bring in something that's completely different. And I'm going to tell you, the difference is I'm not a fire chief. I've made decisions like a fire chief. Jensen has helped me make decisions like a fire chief.
I am not a fire chief.
Not a fire chief, right. And sitting down with KB and Tyler is being able to bring a collective idea into shape things into a way that is presentable to the public to get them interested in a career that they never knew that they wanted to be in a career in, versus I'm a third generation. Was your daddy a police officer?
He was.
Absolutely.
25 years. Yeah.
Right. So this is why we designed it. And then while we designed it, Brooke, was there's so many other needs. There's so many other needs that departments need to have outside of just recruitment and retention. I'm going to say that recruitment and retention is the number one need of most, not only public sector, but I would say private sector, Tyler.
All the way across.
All the way across, right? So, but outside of that, there's operational needs, there's safety needs, there's needs for apparatus, there's needs for writing for grants. What I've been able to come together and sit down at a table with these gentlemen is design a company that can provide every one of those needs. If you have a problem and you're not getting the grants that you need, we've got an expert consultant for it. You've got an operational need. I've got an operations chief that's over the 8th largest fire department of the country who can help you with those operational needs. We do not have to go outside of our company to develop what your needs are. We're able to digest what that need is because we have been proven to be successful on this aspect of the 8th largest entity, the police department, the fire department, the utility here in Memphis. Yeah, absolutely.
With all the conversations we've had, Stephen, just on the sidebar, with all of us, is that we're not, Brooke, we're not a cookie cutter company in my mind, right? We can provide a small service, you know, if you're having a hard time just recruiting, we can do that, you know, but if we can also bring so many other sides of
Absolutely.
the recruitment side of police and fire, utility service, whatever it may be, and not just, you know, you hire us and this is all you can do. We're very diverse, and I think that's what's so neat about it. And something else that Stephen's kind of neglected to touch on that I think is very special about what he's done, because I'm going to brag on him for a minute. I mean, I think we all can.
Great.
What he's done for Memphis is really staggering, the numbers, and more than anything, which is what it all comes down to is savings, right? I mean, money's important in every
money
business,
talks.
whether it's government, whether it's the private sector that Tyler and I can relate to now, being in the corporate America part of the world, is money savings. And he has saved the Memphis Fire Department millions of dollars. And he doesn't necessarily brag on that, but he's done it. We've talked about it. And I think that I'd be remiss without acknowledging that.
No, so just to touch on that, Brooke, is that out of the 600 people that we've been able to recruit from 40 different states to move to Tennessee to work for the Memphis Fire Department, just in the last year alone, I was able to save the Memphis Fire Department $2.5 million. And I'll tell you real quick on how we did it. One was tuition cost, because when you come to a fire department, let's face the facts. Water and fire is what people think about the fire service, but it's really about emergency medicine, okay? So that takes education, and that's a college education. And we neglect to talk about that. So if you're talking to somebody off the street and you're talking about coming to the fire department, you're talking about really EMS service. You're going to fight a little bit of fire out here on the side, but really what you're going to do, 89 to 90% of your job is emergency medicine. And that takes education. Yeah. So by the program,
Takes money.
Absolutely. So the program in which we were able to develop was to get folks that are already educated inside of the field looking for that opportunity for a career somewhere to come in and do that saves money. So let's just say EMT school by itself is $3,500, okay? So then here in the state of Tennessee, you got to go EMT, advanced EMT, and then you go to the paramedic level. We want paramedics across the board. Everybody in the country wants a paramedic. They want a paramedic because that's the highest level care you can give an individual in their household before they get to the hospital. So that pre-level care is super important, okay? So we're able to save by being able to find individuals that are ready to go to work, that at least have an EMT license. So that saves you money there. The ones that we find that already have a nationally certified, at least Firefighter 1 or Firefighter 2 certificate that are IFSAC and Pro Board, they are able to come in. You can design a program inside of your training that helps them get through. When I went to Colorado, I've got every sexy certificate there is out there, right? I've been in the fire service for 23 years. There's every sexy certificate, you name it. I've got it, right? I've got it, right? I've got it. No, so I've got it,
I've got
right?
some OSHA stuff.
So I've got it, right? I can train, I can teach, I can do all the things. But at the end of the day, right, I'm a paramedic. And so that's really what they want, because that provides the service level of which is the ultimate foundation of a fire department these days. So not only are we saving money inside of tuition costs, but what we're doing is we're saving money by changing the idea of how we train. And if you've got an individual with a certification, we have developed programs that we can teach fire departments to be able to use that individual's certification coming into their new development in saving them money. And so by doing all of that, within the last year, I was able to save $2.5 million out of the city of Memphis budget, because we're cutting overtime costs, we're cutting tuition costs, we're doing the things in order for us to provide that service level for not the fire department. And that's where we get it wrong. It's not for the fire department, Brooke. It's for the citizens in the communities in which they work. So when we sat down and started talking about this, and this has been over the last 2 years that we have sat down and talked about developing a company for this, is that we will be able to provide not just saving money that you brought up for departments, but how can we provide individuals with an opportunity, one, and then two, how do we provide for a community that has a service that is helping their community? Those communities are paying taxes in order for the service. How do we make sure that that service is providing the absolute best?
Yeah, but that was our city.
That was our city.
I mean, it's the city we live in.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? It's the city that we're all in.
And can't you guys agree that probably most departments are working under complement at this point?
100%.
Yeah.
Understaffed, and absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, you kind of beat me to the punch, Stephen, as far as like a two-part question. So, kudos to y'all for saving the city of Memphis that much money. But to your expertise, Tyler, specifically on talent acquisition and finding that talent, give me a little bit more of what First Response Solutions, is going to do as far as building those programs. So when I, as the chief of police in Timbuktu, says, hey, what can you guys do for me to get me the best people possible? So I know, number one, I'm saving money, but also number two, I'm providing the most excellent service that I can provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think what's unique about this group of individuals is the fundamental understanding, that boots on the ground understanding of what's actually going on before we jump in to try to troubleshoot a problem.
I love that.
That's what's unique here.
I love that because, and not to interrupt you, I'm going to give you the floor, but these three are the boots on the ground as far as in the community, fighting the fire, shooting the robber down, or what have you, of the situations, the emergency. I know, I'm just an innocent bystander. I watch too many movies, Tyler. Yeah. But you're the guru. You bring a special asset to the team. You bring a special skill set to First Solutions as what can we do here to make sure, not to overstep you, but what kind of expertise do you bring to that team from the boots on the ground?
Yeah. No, again, like
Hot seat.
Yeah, hot seat. I can take it. Talking about that root problem, we really are in a talent war. Local government, just like private sector, all across the nation, and we have to understand that and acknowledge that and realize it, and get a good understanding of that fundamental problem. Our unemployment rate, this is April 2024. Our unemployment is at an all-time low. It's at 3.8%. We were looking at a jobs report just a moment ago because that's what we do. We toss data around. We talk about what's going on, not just here in Memphis, but across the country. There were two sectors that really led in job growth. So adding more jobs to the labor market, saying we have a greater need than any other industry across the country. That was education.
I believe it.
Okay.
I believe it.
We need teachers, right?
Yeah.
Guess what number two was? Government.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow. I can't.
Firefighters, police officers.
Let's make it bigger. Let's make it bigger.
Yeah.
Government, somebody works in the government, and my wife's a school teacher. So
I mean,
100%.
That's right.
Yeah.
so how do you even begin to address the problem? More governments across the entire country are saying we need more people. They're saying it, more than they ever have. Analysts predicted that there would be 200,000 jobs added to the market this quarter or this month alone. We actually added over 300,000, 100,000 more than analysts predicted. So we're just adding jobs. People say we need more people. We've seen that in Memphis. But you know what? That's not unique to Memphis. That's a problem all across the country. So you ask, what's our, what expertise do I bring to the table? What do we as a group talk about, and how do we address these problems? It starts with understanding them, that government, now more than it ever has, needs people and is in this war for talent. Just like the private sector has been, government's getting to that space. They can't just say, hey, look, we need firefighters. Anybody willing to volunteer? Nobody's volunteering.
No,
Nobody's volunteering. Nobody's volunteering. So it takes private sector, initiatives and concepts and understanding applied to government, along with new ideas that people who are working in the field see how to troubleshoot. And that's what this group is bringing to the table. And my help in understanding the larger market and the larger issues that are going on across the country help in that effort, and saying, you know what, this is how we've addressed this issue in other places, in manufacturing and in other private sector industries. Maybe we need to apply the same principle, or maybe we need to come up with something totally new. Maybe we need a fire cadet program to employ high school students before they become a firefighter. Okay. That's something we did. Let's scale that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, my second part, and thank you, that's encouraging to hear that. Second thing to that question, as a citizen of the community, not tied to the fire service, not tied to the police service, not tied to utilities, whatever, you guys are trying to drive that talent acquisition for, guys, it makes me sleep better at night knowing if my house catches on fire, I have someone who's going to help save me.
Not just someone, the best.
Correct. So tell
you need
me.
them to be the professional
So-
when they show up.
Well, I don't need a 20-year-old carrying my big old butt out of my bed when my house is on fire. I want someone who's qualified, has the experience, and has the know-how, who is dedicated on that side of their career to be, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm going to be here for 25 years. Tell me how First Response Solutions is driving that. Now, you've told me a lot about your retention and your recruitment. How are you guys keeping up with up-to-date trends, the technology, the safety aspect of that? Is those companies of, I want enough people on that truck to come save my house that I paid a lot of money for?
So this is how I answer that.
Okay.
Is that we have a list of consultants that are the expert matter in whatever that situation is, that we can rely on to give you the absolute solution for that problem. Now, as average Joe citizen that sits in their bed at night, goes to bed every night, goes to bed every night, hoping that if anything goes wrong, there's somebody there.
Right.
What we have that is unique than any other consultant firm in the country, and I've researched consultant firms, the difference between First Response Solutions and any other company out there is that we collectively, as the head of this company, have put together consultants that can answer those questions for the people that are in charge of that community. And what we find is when you put an expert inside of there, it doesn't matter their rank, it doesn't matter where their education is, it comes down to their experience. Okay. And that experience that we have put together is top notch. I have sat down with these gentlemen and we put together a bunch of consultants over, you name it, we can handle it. Okay. Because not only have they designed it for the entity in which they are working for either currently, but it has been proven to be successful. We only hire people that are successful inside of what they say they are. What happens inside of the fire service and the police department, our utility workers, it doesn't matter the field, right? What happens is we promote people that come through their system. They have no education anymore in budgets. They just took a promotional test and now they're at the top. And now that individual is supposed to make decisions on behalf of their department. What they're not realizing is they have to make decisions not only for that department, but how do we protect average Joe citizen, right? Right. So what we're doing is we've put together a list of consultants that when a city or a community has a problem, we can match them up with the right consultant that is going to give them the expertise in problem solving what that is with average Joe citizen in their mind. It's not just putting together something to feed their department. We're talking about you. How do we do that? Now, when we look at that, every one of our consultants are an expert matter in proving of exactly what they've done. And that's what First Response Solution is going to put on the table for you. When you come to us, not only do the four of us in the expert matters that we are inside of our field, we have a consultant that has been able to be proven for themselves in the community in which they're serving now. And it doesn't have to be a 4 or 5 bugle chief. It has to do with the individual that is an expert proven inside of what they are to save that citizen's life.
That's encouraging to hear that. And I do believe with the knowledge base of that, the background of the company, that's fantastic, guys, because that allows all the communities and the municipalities that you guys are going to be infiltrating into, gives them peace of mind so those average Joes do not worry that, hey, this company has come in, they've helped our community, they've helped our municipality, they've helped our program build the best that they can build ongoing. This is a relationship that you guys have ongoing with these.
Absolutely. Once we get in and we analyze what their problem is, and we match them up with the right consultant, and maybe it's one of us, maybe it's HR, maybe it's police, maybe it's fire, maybe it's utility. We're going to be able to match them up with the right person in order for them to be able to bounce ideas off of what their problem is in order to solve it. We collectively, the four of us, have designed programs that have been brilliant, but there's more out there. And just in what the communities in which we have served up to this point, what we realize, the four of us, is that there's more out there. There's more communities that deserve to hear boots on the ground, management and HR, of how to develop those programs to solve it. And that's what this company is about. It is a very unique company. You look at other consultant firms, and it comes from somebody that spent, I've been on the fire department forever, whatever, right? Like, I mean.
Well, some of the consulting firms, they've never been on the fire department.
Industrial psychologists, right? They're trying to solve these problems that they know nothing about, but yet they got educated, they've got a degree from whatever institution they went to, and they're trying to solve these problems, Brooke, and they're really not. All they're doing is money grabbing. So when we look at our company compared to those other companies and what sets us apart, when we sit down and sign a contract with you, we're giving you the expert in that subject matter in order to solve your problem. We do not have to go outside of our own company to solve your problem. And a lot of consultant firms do that. A lot of consultant firms will get a contract with the city, and then they're going to go look at somebody else. Part of this that you asked, KB, how is it that we are able to stay up with the times?
Yeah.
How is it that we're able to do something different than an old fire chief, old police chief, or whatever it is, industrial psychologist? How are we able to do it better than them? And KB, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We're research development. We ourselves are students inside of each one of our industries. And we not only have the experience, but we're staying up with the times.
One thing that is so encouraging, and thank you for sharing, but the servant heart of each of all four of you. You are wanting to serve a community, a need, filling the gap of something that's fallen through the cracks.
That's what sets us apart.
That's what sets you guys apart. I'm encouraged. Congratulations, guys, on First Response Solutions. In follow-up podcasts, I want to hear about that story
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
from the police department. I want to find out about your story, Kevin.
Something that we're talking about here is that even though I'm out of the realm of law enforcement, it really never leaves you, and I think Jensen can attest to this.
No.
I mean, Stephen's still actively in it, not necessarily fighting fire. He's in the business of saving a lot of money for the city of Memphis. But Jensen and I are both retired from two different realms, but we cross in so many different ways. And anytime I see a police car, or anytime I talk to a friend who is still on the police department, it's just in your blood. And I think that's what truly matters. The people that get into the industries we're talking about, whether it's EMS, whether it's fire, whether it's police, whether it's utility workers, which is really new to us, that we have realized that we can help. There are cities that are struggling in getting linemen and utility workers to get their complement up. Memphis is short, as we know. Another podcast, another story.
Right.
But again, the blood is deep. Law enforcement will never leave me. I've been out of it since 2008, but I feel like it's just since yesterday that I was out there helping the community that I love so much. And I'm born and raised here in Memphis. So I think that's special, and I think Jensen can attest to that. He said it earlier in his opening spiel that, yes, he's retired, didn't want to retire, but because he was hurt fighting fire for someone he did not even know, and he can't do the job anymore. But when he sees a red fire truck, man, it gets his blood pumping, and I think that's special. I think that's special.
Jen, as we get started to wrap this up, I find it intriguing that you and I sat down many years ago, probably 15 years ago, and we've always talked about the problems that departments were having and the way that we've always approached administration. Like them, love them, whatever. They're the decision makers. Jensen, this is an opportunity, right, for us as boots on the ground, the ones that have been in the trenches, the one that got injured in a fire, to be able to talk to those decision makers, right? That was part of the whole reason why we wanted to build this company.
I mean, it's no different than us sitting at the fire station around the coffee table, or around the dinner table in the morning time. We're drinking coffee. What do? We sit there and solve the world's problems, and we try to figure out. We gripe about the current administration. We gripe about the old administration. We gripe about what's going on now, what's going to happen, and blah blah blah. But we sat down, and every time we would say, if only they would do this. If only they could, if they could see it this way. And now we've been talking about this for however long.
Forever.
And now it's actually come to fruition with your job and what you're doing now with the Memphis Fire Department. And now our table talks have actually become true. And now the table talks have come not only true, but now it's only coming true before into a business, to where we can not only help just the Memphis Fire Department, who's gaining all the momentum and is saving the money. Now let's get it nationwide. Let's let everybody help it.
That's it, pal.
Hey, and that sounds to me like boots on the ground. You're taking your experience. That's right. That's right. I'm taking it out of your mouth, Tyler.
Boots on the ground.
But you're putting your money where your mouth is, guys. And that's encouraging as a citizen of any community to know that there's people out there that are building an opportunity to create relationships, to increase the acquisition, the talent, because people want to work if you find them. And if you guys continue to do what you do, man, kudos to y'all. Congratulations. I'm excited for y'all. I can't wait to see where this company takes you guys. I can't wait to see where this company takes the world, because y'all have a special niche. You have the experience, you have the talent, you have the education, you have the brotherhood, you have the camaraderie, you have the passion, you have the service mentality not many companies have as small business owners. So I'm excited for y'all. This is awesome. I can't wait to be a small part of this.
Thank you for interviewing.
Absolutely. Can I interview y'all after 40 years of service? Can I be invited to that? Okay. Awesome.
To close out, we can give Bartlett Gutter Company. Thank you for sponsoring our first podcast. Check out locally owned and operated. BartlettGutterCompany.com. Charlie Bagwell, born and raised here in Memphis, would be glad to help you with any of your gutter needs.
Yeah, fully funded everything.
So,
super nice of him.
but in moving forward with all of the stuff, that if your department's out there and you have a need in recruitment or retention, safety needs, grant writing needs, any of those needs that your department has that I know that you're having, First Response Solution is there for you. And we can put that comfort blanket over you, and we will solve your problem for you without having to go somewhere else, because we do the research, we listen to what your needs are, we will provide an answer for you that you will be successful. And I can tell you that because the four of us, one, we love each other, we love God, and we're here to make sure that we provide the absolute best service for your, whatever the need is, your community, your problems, we're going to solve it for you. That's the difference out of any other company out there. That's what we're here to do.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And thank you for watching the first podcast of First Response Solutions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
There you go.